Waitress's daughter gives her only cookie to a sad stranger. Didn't know he was a billionaire. And he'd change everything. What if a single act of kindness, offering your only cookie to a sad stranger, unleashed a chain of events that would change everything? Willow Creek was a town frozen in time. Its main street a patchwork of faded signs and weathered brick, where the single stoplight blinked like an afterthought. Daisy's Brew, named for the owner's long-dead mother, was the town's pulse, a haven where farmers swapped gossip, teenagers plotted escapes, and strangers sought shelter from their pasts. On this dreary October afternoon, the storm had driven in a sparse crowd, their voices a low hum beneath the rain's relentless drumbeat. Sarah Mitchell, 28, moved through the chaos with the grace of someone who'd long mastered survival. Her auburn hair was pulled into a messy bun, her apron stained with coffee and ketchup, her smile a practiced shield against the exhaustion of double shifts. She'd been a single mother since her husband, Tom, walked out 4 years ago, leaving her with their toddler, Lily, and a mountain of debt. Sarah lived for Lily, her 6-year-old daughter, whose bright eyes and boundless heart were the only light in their cramped apartment above the hardware store, where the air always carried a faint whiff of sawdust. Every penny went to rent, groceries, or the occasional second-hand toy for Lily. Dreams of art school, where Sarah had once sketched vibrant landscapes, were buried under the weight of bills and responsibility. Lily sat at the counter, her legs swinging, coloring on a napkin with a stubby crayon. She was a quiet child, her brown eyes sharp, catching the things adults miss: the way her mother's hands shook when she counted tips, or how the regulars' voices dropped when they whispered about the town's struggling mill. Today, her lunch was a peanut butter sandwich and a single chocolate chip cookie, baked by Sarah in a rare moment of indulgence. Lily guarded that cookie like a treasure, nibbling it slowly to make it last. The storm had brought an eclectic crowd: Mr. Jenkins, the retired postman, grumbling about his arthritis; Eddie, the delivery guy, flashing his usual flirtatious grin; and a stranger in the corner booth, his gray coat dripping, his face half hidden by a wool scarf. He'd ordered a black coffee an hour ago and hadn't touched it, his eyes fixed on the rain-streaked window as if searching for something lost. Sarah barely noticed him, too busy balancing plates and refilling mugs, but Lily did. "Mama," Lily whispered, tugging Sarah's apron as she rushed by. "That man looks sad, like he's all alone." Sarah glanced over, her brow furrowing. "He's just tired." "Sweetie, let him be." But Lily wasn't one to let things be. She slid off her stool, clutching her cookie, and before Sarah could stop her, she marched across the shop. The stranger didn't look up until Lily stood beside him, her small hand extended, offering the cookie. "This is for you," she said, her voice clear and earnest. "It makes me happy when I'm sad." The man froze, his gray eyes weary and haunted meeting hers. The shop seemed to still, the clink of mugs fading into the rain's roar. He took the cookie, his fingers brushing hers, and managed a faint "Thank you." His voice was low, almost swallowed by the storm. Lily smiled, oblivious to the weight of her gesture, and skipped back to the counter. Sarah watched, her heart swelling with pride and a pang of worry. That cookie was Lily's only treat today. She didn't have the heart to scold her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, like a key turning in a lock no one knew existed. Sarah's life was a tightrope walk, each step a battle against despair. Born in Willow Creek to a mechanic father and a schoolteacher mother, both gone now, cancer and a heart attack, she'd once dreamed of art school, her sketchbooks filled with vibrant drawings of forests and faces. But Tom's betrayal had shattered that dream. He'd left without a word, his clothes gone, his car vanished, leaving Sarah to pick up the pieces alone. She'd built walls around her heart, trusting only herself and Lily. Accepting help felt like admitting defeat, a crack in the armor of her pride. Their apartment was a testament to her resilience. The walls were patched with mismatched paint, the furniture thrifted, but it was clean and filled with love. Sarah read to Lily every night, weaving tales of princesses and dragons, her voice soft even when exhaustion made her words slur. She hid her fears: the $200 electric bill, the broken heater, the holes in her shoes. Pride kept her going, but it also kept her isolated. When neighbors offered to babysit or slip her a few dollars, she'd smile tightly and say, "We're fine," even when they weren't. That evening, as Sarah locked up the shop, Lily chattered about the sad man. He smiled, "Mama, just a little bit." Sarah nodded, distracted. Counting the day's tips, $12, not enough for the bill. She didn't notice the stranger watching from across the street, his figure blurred by the rain. The crumbled cookie still in his pocket. Richard Calloway, 52, was a billionaire whose name was synonymous with tech innovation. His algorithms powered global networks, his wealth a fortress around a broken heart. 10 years ago, his wife, Clara, died in a car accident, and his son, Ethan, now 25, had cut ties after a bitter fight over Richard's obsession with work. Richard had retreated to his Manhattan penthouse, surrounded by art he never looked at. His life a cycle of board meetings and silence. He'd come to Willow Creek on a whim, seeking a place where no one knew his name, hoping to outrun his ghosts. Lily's cookie was a jolt to his system. That night, in his sterile hotel room at the edge of town, he held the napkin-wrapped cookie, its edges crumbling. It wasn't just the gesture, it was the purity of it, the way Lily had seen him, not as a billionaire or a failure, but as a person. For the first time in a decade, he felt a spark of something he thought he'd lost, connection. He couldn't name it, but it stirred something deep, a longing to be more than a shadow. The next morning, Sarah found an envelope slipped under the shop's door. Inside was $500 in cash. Number note, no explanation. She stared at it, her stomach twisting. Was it a mistake? A prank? She tucked it into her apron, intending to turn it in if someone claimed it. No one did. Days later, another envelope appeared, this time with $1,000. Sarah's pride flared. She asked Daisy, the shop's gruff owner with a soft spot for Sarah, if she knew anything. Daisy shrugged. Maybe it's a guardian angel. Sarah didn't believe in angels. She paid the electric bill, then the rent, telling herself she'd find the source and return the money. But the envelopes kept coming. $700 one week, $2,000 the next, always anonymous, always enough to ease her burdens. Lily, meanwhile, was blossoming. Her school sent a letter saying her tuition to Willow Creek Academy, a private school an hour away, had been paid in full anonymously. Sarah's suspicion grew, but so did her relief. She bought Lily new shoes, a warm coat, even a small easel for her drawings. Each gift chipped away at her resistance, but the question gnawed at her. Who was doing this? Richard watched from a distance, his acts of kindness carefully orchestrated. He'd hired Margaret Hensley, a local lawyer with a no-nonsense demeanor, to handle the transactions, ensuring his name stayed out of it. But Lily's cookie haunted him. He started visiting Daisy's daily, always in the corner booth, always with a black coffee he never drank. He watched Sarah's quiet strength, the way she moved with purpose despite her exhaustion, and Lily's boundless heart. They reminded him of Clara and Ethan, of the life he'd let slip away. Willow Creek was teetering on the edge. The local mill, the town's economic backbone, was on the verge of closing, threatening jobs and livelihoods. Whispers of layoffs filled the coffee shop, and Sarah overheard regulars talking about moving away. The tension added to her stress. She couldn't afford to lose her job if Daisy's closed. She started picking up shifts at a diner across town, her body aching but her resolve unshaken. One evening, Eddie, the delivery guy, lingered after his shift, his usual grin replaced by worry. "Heard the mill's got a buyer," he said, leaning on the counter. "Some big shot investor. Might save the town, might not." Sarah nodded, too tired to engage, but the news stuck with her. A buyer meant change, and change rarely favored people like her. Enter Clara Evans, a new face in Willow Creek, a retired journalist in her 60s. Clara had moved to town to escape the city's noise, but her sharp mind missed the chase of a story. She started frequenting Daisy's, her keen eyes catching the tension between Sarah and the stranger in the corner. Clara befriended Sarah, offering a listening ear and stories of her reporting days. "You've got a fighter's spirit," Clara told her one night over coffee, "but even fighters need help sometimes." Sarah bristled but warmed to Clara's kindness. unaware that Clara was already piecing together the mystery of the envelopes. Sarah began to notice the stranger in the corner. He was always there, his gray eyes following her and Lily. She caught his gaze once, and he looked away, but not before she saw something, grief, maybe, or guilt. She started to suspect he was connected to the envelopes. One night, after closing, she confronted him. "You've been here every day," she said, wiping down his table. "You don't drink the coffee." He looked up, startled. "I like the quiet." She crossed her arms. "You know anything about money showing up here? Or my daughter's tuition?" His face betrayed nothing, but his hands tightened around his mug. "No," he said, too quickly. Sarah didn't believe him, but she let it go for now. Lily, oblivious to the tension, started talking to the stranger. She'd bring him drawings, chatter about her day at school, her favorite book, her dreams of being an artist like her mom. He listened, his guarded heart softening. One day, she gave him a crayon sketch of a man and a girl holding hands under a rainbow. "That's you and me," she said. Richard's throat tightened. He tucked the drawing into his coat, a talisman against his loneliness. Clara, watching from her usual table, scribbled notes in a small journal. She'd seen men like the stranger before, wealthy, haunted, hiding something. She approached Sarah after a shift. "That man's no drifter," she said. "He's got money, and he's got secrets." Sarah frowned, unsure whether to trust Clara's instincts, but unable to shake her words. At Willow Creek Academy, Lily thrived. Her teachers praised her creativity. Her classmates welcomed her, and she began to carry herself with confidence. But the transition wasn't seamless. Some kids whispered about her thrift store clothes, and Sarah overheard Lily crying one night, saying she didn't fit in. Sarah's heart broke, but she couldn't afford the designer backpacks the other kids had. She stayed up late sewing patches onto Lily's jacket, trying to make it cool. One day, a package arrived at their apartment, a new backpack, art, supplies, and a note for Lily to shine. No signature. Sarah's pride stung, but Lily's joy was undeniable. She started drawing more, her sketches filling the apartment with color. But Sarah noticed something unsettling. Lily mentioned a nice man at school who asked about her drawings. When Sarah pressed for details, Lily described a man in a gray coat. Sarah's blood ran cold. She confronted Richard the next day. "Are you following my daughter?" she demanded. Richard's eyes widened. "No. I've only seen her here." Sarah didn't believe him. She called the school, but no one matching Richard's description had been seen. The mystery deepened, and Sarah's paranoia grew. Was someone else watching them? Sarah's suspicion became an obsession. With Clara's help, she checked the shop's security footage. The grainy video showed a man in a gray coat slipping an envelope under the door at dawn. It was Richard. Clara, digging into public records, uncovered his identity. Richard Calloway, tech billionaire. Sarah felt a mix of betrayal and curiosity. She confronted him in the shop, her voice low but firm. "I know it's you. The money, the tuition, the backpack." "Why?" Richard looked at her, his eyes weary but honest. "Your daughter gave me something I hadn't felt in years, hope. I wanted to give something back." Sarah's anger flared. "I don't need your pity. We've been fine without you." "It's not pity," he said, his voice breaking. "It's gratitude. For her kindness, for reminding me what it's like to feel human." Sarah demanded answers. Reluctantly, he told her his story: the billions, the loss of his wife, Clara, the estrangement from his son, Ethan. Sarah listened, her anger softening into empathy. She saw the pain in his eyes, the same pain she'd carried since Tom left. But she wasn't ready to forgive him, not yet. The next day, Sarah found an old photo in a box of Tom's things, one she hadn't looked at in years. It was her and Tom at a company picnic before Lily was born. In the background was a man in a suit, his face half turned. It was Richard. She remembered now. Tom had worked for one of Richard's companies, a low-level coder with big dreams. They'd met Richard at the event, where Tom had bragged about his big break. Sarah confronted Richard, the photo trembling in her hand. "You knew my husband." Richard's face paled. "I didn't know. I met hundreds of employees back then." Clara, who'd been digging deeper, uncovered a bombshell. Tom hadn't just been fired from Richard's company for stealing code. He'd been framed. The real thief was Victor Lang, a senior executive who'd scapegoated Tom to cover his own tracks. Richard had signed off on the termination, unaware of the truth. Tom's life unraveled after that, leading to his departure. Sarah felt betrayed. Richard's kindness was tangled in guilt from a past he hadn't disclosed. But there was more. Clara found a connection. Victor Lang was in Willow Creek, posing as a consultant for the mill's buyer. He'd been watching Sarah and Lily, possibly to ensure Richard's secret stayed buried. The nice man at Lily's school was one of Victor's associates, keeping tabs on the family. Sarah confronted Richard again, her voice shaking. "Your company destroyed my husband, and now your people are watching my daughter. What are you hiding?" Richard was stunned. "I didn't know about Victor, I swear. Let me make this right." News broke that the mill's buyer was Callaway Industries, Richard's company. He'd bought it to save Willow Creek's economy, but also to anchor himself to the town that had awakened something in him. The town buzzed with hope, but Sarah felt trapped. Victor's presence was a threat, and she didn't trust Richard's intentions. With Clara's help, Sarah and Richard devised a plan. Clara used her old journalist contacts to expose Victor's past, linking him to the stolen code and other corporate crimes. They confronted him at a town meeting about the mill, where Victor was posing as a savior. Sarah, trembling but resolute, presented evidence from Clara's research. Victor tried to flee, but the townsfolk, rallied by Daisy and Eddie, blocked his exit. The police arrested him, and Richard vowed to clear Tom's name posthumously. Sarah's pride still stung, but she couldn't deny the change in her life. Lily was thriving, her laughter filling their apartment. Sarah enrolled in night classes at a community college, chasing her dream of art. Richard, inspired by Lily and Sarah, reached out to Ethan. Their first call was tense, but it was a start. He also began mentoring kids at the academy, including Lily, teaching them coding as a way to give back. One evening, Sarah invited Richard and Clara to dinner. It was simple spaghetti and garlic bread, but it felt like a turning point. Lily showed them her latest drawing, a family with four figures under a starry sky. "That's us," she said, pointing to herself, Sarah, Richard, and Clara. Sarah's eyes met Richard's, and for the first time, they held each other's gaze, a fragile trust forming. A year later, Daisy's brew was thriving, its walls adorned with Sarah's sketches, now framed and vibrant. The mill was operational, employing half the town. Sarah was halfway through her degree, her confidence growing with each class. Richard and Ethan were rebuilding their relationship, one awkward coffee at a time. Clara, inspired by Sarah, started a local newspaper, chronicling Willow Creek's revival. Lily, now 7, was the star of her art club, her kindness unchanged. One rainy afternoon, a new stranger entered the shop, her face weary, her hands clutching a tattered bag. Lily, ever watchful, slipped off her stool, a cookie in hand. Sarah, Clara, and Richard watched, smiling, knowing that whatever happened next, it would be the start of something extraordinary. The ripple of kindness, begun with a single cookie, would never stop.